Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for checking out this video. I honestly can't believe we are here setting up my new 2022 bullet journal. I am slightly in shock that 2021 is already over. I feel like this year has been both one of the longest years of my life and very, very fast, all in one oxymoron. So I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but that's how I feel at the moment. So here I am setting up my 2022 bullet journal. I've actually decided to not move into a new journal, which I know is quite unusual, but I really love the journal I'm using at the moment. It's from Notebook Therapy. It's the Gentle Giant, and I still have over half of the pages left in it because I've been quite sparing towards the end of 2021 with how I was setting up my spreads, and it just broke my heart to think about not using all of that space. So I've decided to tie it over, move into 2022 in this journal. When I set up a new journal, I try and have a theme to sort of make it a little bit more cohesive. When I first started out bullet journaling, I tended just to make random spreads that I thought I might need without really planning through the process, and I found that I would keep them updated for about 3 months and then they'd just sit empty for the rest of the year. So I've tried to really make this one as efficient and as effective for me and for what I need my journal to be as possible. So this is not the longest of new journals. I'm not going to have all the spreads that potentially you might expect to see in a new journal setup. For instance, I'm not going to bother including a key and a line grid sort of cheat sheet because I don't actually need them, because I already have them at the beginning of my my journal from 2021, and also I've now been bullet journaling for 4 years and I just know them. I don't really need that cheat sheet anymore. I should probably also talk about the design that I've chosen to do. I am going for a very simple kind of fresh mountain theme. I'm only going to be using these 4 colours through the entire setup, so that navy blue for the sky and then the shades of green for the mountains. Now, something I was really inspired by was this idea of having not a Dutch door exactly, but having a 2-layer opening page to my bullet journal. So I've kept the drawing itself so simple, just that gradient of the mountains and the sky, and then I'm actually going in and I've cut out some acetate to the right size in my journal, and I'm going to use that to overlay with my 2022 greeting. I have this really lovely kind of light purpley grey washi tape that I'm using to hold it in place, and then I'm actually going in with my Posca Paint Pen to add in some stars and the moon and also the lettering as well. I cannot recommend Posca Paint Pens enough. They are absolutely fantastic. As you can see, they give such a bold colour. I normally use my jelly rolls if I want to have white in my journal, but there was no way they were going to be able to cope with the acetate rather than paper, so my Posca Paint Pens were an absolute must in this situation. Then over on the left, I am putting in my year at a glance spread. I do actually really appreciate having the spread because it's really useful to know when new months are starting and to be able to sort of see what days things are going to be on. So I don't particularly use it a lot, but when it's needed, it's the most useful spread. So I do recommend having a year at a glance spread. They're really simple to set up. I literally am just popping the title at the top, and then I divided the page up into 12, one for each month of the year, and add a mini calendar. In previous years, I tended to write out the calendars, but this year I've decided my life is too short to do that. So I'm actually using these awesome stamps that I got from my local craft store. They have little calendars on and you can use them on a stamping block, but I actually ended up using my Posca Paint Pen in black just because I wanted a really strong colour and it was just a little bit less messy than it would have been otherwise. And there we go. As you can see, I've kept it really simple, quite graphic rather than particularly detailed, but I actually really liked that, and it made this theme really easy to set up. So I'm moving on to my second spread that I always include when I'm setting up a new journal, which is my future log. This is a more in-depth place where I can jot down birthdays or events that I know are going to be happening in the future when I might potentially not have already set up that month. So this is a spread that I highly recommend. Definitely include it. I have one in every one of my journals because they are so useful. And as you can see, I've just used my washi tape to mask off the center, and I'm going in with that mountain design as well. These mountains are so easy to draw. They're literally just slightly wonky triangles. So if you're looking for a really highly graphic, really simple and straightforward sort of theme idea, I would really recommend this. I've always wanted to do a mountain theme, and I've never really got round to it, and I don't know why. Clearly it was so I could use them today to do this video. So as you can see, I have divided up my spread into those 12 boxes, one for each of the months, and I'm just adding the name of the month at the top. I know a lot of people are really big on having the calendars in their future logs as well, but I've never quite seen the point of doing that when you have just spent all that time setting up a year at a glance spread. So I didn't bother, but I'd be curious to see why people do that and if you personally like having your calendar spreads there as well. So my next spread is actually based on two spreads. The first one is my reading list. I am a really big reader. I read every single day because I have quite a long commute to work. So I ended up not having enough space in my last reading list that I set up to keep track of all the books that I had read, which is a lovely problem to have, don't get me wrong. So this time I've decided what I will do is I will set up just a one-side reading list, so just the left-hand spread, if that makes sense, and then as I go through the year I will set up more so I can kind of keep track, because I like to know what I've been reading. So again, I'm running that mountain theme across the bottom of the page and then just adding a little bit of blue for the sky as a bit of a kind of framing device around these spreads. On the right hand side, I'm actually setting up a things to check out spread, which is a really good place where I can record all of the recommendations I get for TV, for movies, for books, for music, and it's just really useful to have a place where I can jot those down. My best friend is actually crazy into movies and TV shows, and he is always recommending them to me, so it's useful for me to have a space where I can jot down all of his recommendations. And this is the last spread I'm setting up for the beginning of my 2022 journal. This is my goals page. And again, as you can see, I'm going in with that mountain motif at the bottom, really simple, those kind of rough triangle shapes, and I will colour those in a moment. For my goals, I like to split them up into sort of subcategories. I find if I just have large, ambiguous goals, I just get overwhelmed. I don't actually do anything to attempt trying to complete them. So I tend to break them up into 4 categories. I have personal goals, I have financial goals, I have my work and career goals, and I also have my art business goals. So you'll see I will kind of categorize my goals into those 4 subsections, and then I've got some space to break them down. My top tip for these kind of things is to break them down into lots and lots of little manageable steps so it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming. And there we go, here's my final flip through. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing how I set up my journals and kind of the process that goes into them. I hope I've tried to sort of explain why I haven't gone for some of the more traditional spreads that you would see in a bullet journal, but I hope you've enjoyed it. If you do think about subscribing. I've just made it to 1,000 subscribers and I'm so excited. And give it a like and have a wonderful 2022, everybody. Thank you and goodbye.